BMW 5 Series is easily one of the best cars in the world. And that's not just because it sells in such large numbers, it is easily one of the nicest cars to drive in that category, and probably up and below as well. But now in 2017, there's an all-new BMW 5 Series. It's coming down to India, well, later in 2017. And, well, there's a raft of changes. And all of that has been, well, done to improve the car significantly. Not just the outsides, the way it looks, but on the interiors as well. So there's the engines, the chassis, the suspension, the steering system, the brakes. Well, there's a whole lot of changes in this car. Just what are these supposed to do to the car, and well, how do they feel? Well, I'm here in Portugal to find out just how good the new 5 Series is. Visually, the new 5 Series is a much stronger, much more attractive design than it used to be. It's well, lost a lot of its chubbiness. It's a slimmer, more leaner car to look at, and well, that is part of its appeal as well now. But dimensionally also, a lot of things have changed. This car is now wider, it's longer, and of course it's taller than it used to as well. And of course you can clearly see the width, and that width is accentuated by the slim headlamps, this longer, wider grille. All around, if you look at the kidney grille especially, you look at it and you see that it's grown slimmer and of course wider. So that is part of part of the design element that enhances the width of the entire car. The bright work inside these headlamps, again, the Corona rings have gone themselves, but you still got those LED elements around there, those bezels, and they still hark back to that design, the classic design of BMWs, where Corona rings are such an important element of their cars. The length, as I said, has also grown, it has grown longer in space, has of course increased inside the car. But clearly the design elements, again, if you look at the sides, the profile has shrunk a bit. It looks much more stronger, much clearer. The lines are far more well defined. Again, very, very sharp lines starting out from the fender, going all the way towards the C-pillar, whether it's the shoulder line, the waistline, the belt line, call it what you will. Another very important aspect of this car, of course, is the Hofmeister Kink. Right there at the back, if you look at it clearly, it's still there, still pronounced, very, very sharp element, much sharper than what it used to be before. So overall, I think this car definitely much better looking than what it used to be, and certainly more tempting to get into and drive, which is what we're going to do right now. One very strong design element with all BMWs, once you sit inside the car especially, is the focus, the attention it provides to the driver. And this cabin, especially the area around the driver, well, all of that has been, well, it isn't a flat dashboard. It compresses and comes closer in towards the driver. So all of the elements on the center console panel, to the left where the headlamp unit, well, the light actuators are, all of that has sort of bent in towards the driver. Clearly, BMW wants that to remain a very strong element of their design, and I think it works. I think it's a fantastic element. I really loved this 2 generations ago, and it's nice to see that this element is coming back into BMW's cars in a much stronger way. Principal focus with the new 5 Series has been to reduce weight, to make this car lighter, and with all of the changes in the engine, with the changes to the suspension, the chassis, the body, this car is about 100 kilos lighter than it used to be, than its predecessor. And that is quite an achievement. It's not easy, let me tell you, to get to lose that much weight. But extensive use of aluminium, magnesium, and well, high tensile strength steels have helped making this car much lighter, much more agile than ever before. India will continue to get the 530D, the same engines as before, but BMW will also offer the 530i, which is the petrol engine. Eventually, it will also come down with the slightly lower, more entry-level model of the 5 Series, the 520D. Now, both the 530 and the 520D are diesel engines. The 530D, which will be one of the flagship diesels for BMW, is a 6 inline engine, and it's one of the nicest diesels I've ever driven. In fact, it just doesn't sound like a diesel. Drop a gear, step on the gas, and well, the responses from this engine, they're just phenomenal. It's so quick. There is no point in time when you feel this is a diesel. Clearly, BMW is well vying for Engine of the Year again, I assume, with this whole new range of diesel engines. BMW's 6-cylinder inline diesel engine. Now this has got a twin scroll turbocharger, which means it's a single turbocharger, but is activated in 2 stages, one for low RPM driving and one when you need additional power above a particular RPM. This engine effectively makes 265 PS or 265 horsepower, but there's an enormous 620 Newton meters of torque. Blisteringly quick. This is roughly about a 5.5 second to 100 kilometers per hour car. It is incredibly quick, one of the most dynamic BMWs you have ever driven. The 5 Series also offers an adaptive drive mode, which essentially means you've got 3 driving modes: Sport, Comfort and Economy. And in addition, it will also sense the kind of throttle inputs, the steering inputs, if you're going fast, slow, the kind of roads that you are on, and decide which mode to be in. Works extremely well. But in addition, you also have, in sport mode, a system that allows you to control individual parameters. And by that I mean you can control the kind of, steering inputs that you require, the damping, the engine inputs, the transmission, how all of that feels. And it's a spectacular configuration. It really allows you to play with the car and get the best, derive the best out of the new 5 Series. The one big change I think all BMWs are embracing these days is, of course, the suspension systems. They are no longer as focused to drive. Or, well, that's the wrong choice of words. They still are as focused to drive. They're just not as hard where ride quality is concerned compared to previous generation BMWs. The 5 Series, well, it's much more softer, it's much more forgiving, definitely will appeal to a wider audience. This car has been developed for people who like to self-drive them. And in that respect, it's such an easier car to drive than it ever used to be. The last generation, well, that did get softer, but this one takes that softness, that accessibility to a whole new level. One of the biggest technology highlights inside this car is, of course, the gesture control, where you can increase the volume simply by, well, a few gestures. Well, let me tell you, there's nobody in this car, no one's controlling anything. That's just how gesture control works. You can also, of course, you've got the touchpad on the jog dial, on the MMI interface, or you can use the dial. And I think that's just brilliant. You've got so many ways to control various things inside the car. You've also got voice commands. You can use voice commands, gesture control, use the dial. I think it's just brilliant the way this car allows you to access all of its features. India spec cars will see a lot of the features that you get globally. However, some of the radar-based features, those will not come, which means some of these functions and some of these absolutely brilliant functions, which is the adaptive cruise control, for instance, that may not come to India unless the government releases those particular frequencies, the particular radar frequencies that are required for those adaptive systems to work. But two brilliant aspects that I've seen on this car are the adaptive cruise control and the lane assist. And what lane assist essentially does is ensures your car stays in a particular lane. You can, in a nutshell, take your hands off the steering wheel and the car will drive by itself using just the adaptive cruise control and the lane assist. I've tried it out myself. These aren't the roads to try it out on, but on the motorways, on the expressways, you can see just how this works. And let me tell you, it's brilliant. BMW's engineers have taken all the nice bits from the 7 Series, from the new 7 Series. In fact, they've taken all the brilliant bits out of the 7 Series, compressed it and packaged it inside the new 5 Series. And then, just for good measure, well, they've added a lot more in here. This car is truly remarkable where features, where technology is concerned. There's some things inside here that are nothing short of revolutionary. A remarkably competent car, a remarkably fascinating car, and continues well to be one of the best driver's cars, I think, in the world. Easily one of the best driver's cars in the world.